Salam, peace be upon you. Part 11. Where does meaning come from? What transforms electrical signals in your brain into the experience of recognizing a friend's face? What turns patterns of light into the concept of table? What turns sequences of sound into the story you are hearing right now? Today, we will perform the final, most radical operation. We will demystify meaning without destroying its majesty. We will show how recognition creates reality without magic. We will reveal that you are a recognition machine playing the final game in the cosmic arena. And we will discover that this changes everything about what it means to be, to know, and to matter. The face that isn't in the pixels, the primal demonstration. Let us begin with the simplest possible demonstration of the miracle that happens inside you every moment. Consider a face detection algorithm in a camera. It scans pixels, arrays of numbers representing color and intensity. It does not believe in faces. It has no concept of personhood, emotion, or identity. What does it do? It recognizes patterns. Two dark regions approximately horizontal and symmetric, eyes. A central protrusion, nose. A horizontal line below, mouth. All within certain proportional constraints. When it finds this pattern, it draws a box and labels it face. Question: is the face in the pixels? No. The face is in the recognition. The pixels are just numbers. The pattern is a particular arrangement of those numbers. The recognition is the act of matching that arrangement to a template that has predictive value. When this pattern appears, there is a high probability of a human presence, which may require focusing, tracking, or tagging. The meaning face emerges not from the pixels themselves, but from what that recognition enables. It enables the camera to predict. If I focus here, I'll get better portraits. If I track this, I'll maintain framing. If I tag this, I'll help the user organize memories. Now feel this truth in your bones. You are that algorithm. But your templates are infinitely more complex, layered, and self-referential. When you look at a collection of wood panels and see a table, you are not detecting table essence. You are recognizing a stable pattern. A flat surface at a certain height, supported by legs, with certain affordances. Things can be placed on it, you can sit at it. This recognition enables prediction. If I put my cup here, it will likely stay. If I lean on this, it will support me. The table's stableness is not in the wood. It is in your recognition of a pattern that has predictive utility. This is the core revelation of Part 11. Meaning is predictive compression. The recognition games, where pattern meets prediction. Now, let us connect this to our entire journey. We have spoken of licensed windows, coherence, knots, ledgers, and survivor laws. Where does recognition fit? Recognition is the interface between the measurable world and the experiencing mind. It is the process by which DeFi patterns, through their shadows omega, kappa, and nida, become categorized into objects, events, and concepts that have predictive power. Imagine the early universe again, after the survivor games have produced stable laws. Knots form, fields interact, patterns flow. Now enters a new player, the recognizer. Not a conscious being yet, just a system capable of detecting statistical regularities and using them to predict future inputs. The simplest recognizer might be a molecule that only reacts when a specific vibrational frequency, omega, matches its resonance structure. It recognizes that frequency. That recognition has meaning for the molecule. Resonate now, transfer energy now. A more complex recognizer, a bacterium that moves towards certain chemical gradients, kappa patterns. It recognizes food direction. The meaning is, swim this way. These are the recognition games. The rules are simple. Detect a pattern in incoming diffie signals. Compress it into a label or category. Use that category to predict future signals. If prediction improves survival reproduction, strengthen the recognition pathway. If prediction fails, weaken or modify it. Meaning emerges when recognition helps prediction. Smoke pattern predicts fire, means danger. Smile pattern predicts friendly intent, means safe. Dark cloud pattern predicts rain, means take shelter. The meaning is not magical. It is operational. It is the predictive relationship between pattern and consequence. Encoders, the hidden machines of meaning. Now we introduce a crucial Holophase concept, encoders. An encoder is any mechanism, biological, technological, or abstract, that takes a complex pattern and maps it into a simpler internal representation that a system can use to act. It does not need to be conscious. It does not need to be human. It does not need to have language. An ant has encoders for chemical trails. A bat has encoders for ultrasonic echoes. A thermostat has a primitive encoder for temperature. A neural network has encoders for everything from faces to fraud. An encoder is not meaning by itself. Meaning appears when an encoder improves prediction and action. So in Holophase, meaning is not a metaphysical property of objects. Meaning is a functional property of recognizers. A pattern means something to a system when recognizing it allows the system to predict better than if it did not recognize it. That is the core. Now we make it rigorous. Objects as licensed recognitions. Now we arrive at the most profound synthesis with part 8. There we said, objects are knots, persistent interruptions in phi's smooth comparability. Now we add, objects become real to a recognizer when the recognizer can reliably detect and track those knots across licensed windows. Consider an electron. Is it real? To a physicist with a cloud chamber, yes. The chamber recognizes the knot signature, the ionization trail pattern. That recognition enables prediction. If I place a charge here, it will deflect that way. To a stone, no. The stone has no recognition templates for topological defects in quantum fields. The electron passes through it unrecognized. It is not real to the stone. Reality is recognition relative, but not arbitrary, because recognition must be licensed. It must be based on coherent, measurable patterns. Your recognition of a table is licensed by coherent visual patterns, edges, surfaces, tactile feedback, hardness, stability, predictive success. Cups stay put, you don't fall through. If you were hallucinating a table, your recognition would fail licensing. You try to put a cup on it, and the cup would fall. The pattern would not cohere across sensory modalities or across time. Thus, we arrive at a complete, rigorous definition. An object is a topological knot whose DeFi signature is reliably recognizable across licensed windows by a system with appropriate encoders and whose recognition provides predictive advantage to that system. The table is real because its knot pattern is stable enough to be recognized by humans, and that recognition helps us navigate the world. The electron is real because its knot pattern is stable enough to be recognized by our instruments, and that recognition helps us predict experimental outcomes. Things become real when something recognizes them. But the recognition must be earned through coherent measurement. The firewall for meaning, prediction, and counterworlds. Now we bring in Holophase's hard discipline. If meaning is predictive compression, then meaning is testable. A real semantic structure must produce measurable advantage. You should be able to say, when the recognizer outputs label L, the probability distribution of future readings changes in a consistent way. In audio language, if you call it smoke, you should predict fire more often than if you do not. If you call it friend, you should predict cooperative behavior more often than if you do not. If your meaning does not change prediction, then it is not meaning. It is decoration. So part 11 does something bold. It treats semantics like science. Not because semantics is cold, but because semantics is accountable. And this is where Holophase becomes extremely powerful. It unifies physics and meaning through the same firewall. Comparison, prediction, falsification, licensing. Meaning must pay rent too. Now we deploy the ultimate weapon against self-deception. Counterworlds. A recognizer claims, this pattern means danger. How do you test it? You do not merely observe supportive cases. You design counterworlds. You find cases where the pattern appears, but danger does not. You scramble contexts. You blind the observer. You shift the background conditions. If the meaning persists, even when the predictive advantage disappears, then the meaning is not real. It is superstition. True meaning in Holophase must fail in counterworlds. Smoke means danger in worlds where smoke correlates with fire. In a theater with smoke machines, smoke loses that meaning. And the good recognizer learns the difference. So meaning is not absolute. Meaning is scoped. Meaning is licensed. Meaning has jurisdiction, just like laws. This is how Holophase keeps semantics from becoming magic. The prediction. Alien objects and invisible realities. From this, we derive a breathtaking prediction. Prediction. Better recognizers, whether advanced AI, alien minds, or future evolved humans, will detect patterns we currently miss. They will recognize objects and meanings that are invisible to us, because their encoders will be tuned to different DeFi signatures, different coherence bands, different predictive goals. Imagine a species that senses magnetic field gradients directly. They might recognize magnetic topological defects as everyday objects, things we cannot perceive. Their reality would contain entities ours does not. Or consider an AI trained on global climate data. It might recognize atmospheric coherence structures as persistent entities with predictable behaviors. Storms to us are just weather. To the AI, they might be distinct individuals with life cycles. The prediction extends. Much of reality remains unrecognized because we lack the encoders to see it. The universe is richer than our categories. Every new scientific instrument is, in effect, a new recognition encoder, revealing new objects, quarks, black holes, dark matter halos, that were always there but unrecognized. This does not mean anything goes. Recognition must still be licensed by coherent DeFi patterns. The AI's atmospheric entities must exhibit stable, measurable signatures across windows. But within those constraints, reality blossoms with entities waiting to be recognized. The falsification, meaning without prediction. The corresponding falsification cuts through spiritual bypassing and intellectual laziness. Find a meaning or a semantic structure that provides no predictive advantage, that does not help any recognizer in any domain predict future measurements better than chance. Such meaning would be pure illusion, decoration without function. Similarly, find a stable DeFi pattern, a coherent, topological, conserved signature that no possible recognizer in principle could detect or use for prediction. This would break the link between reality and recognition. In practice, this falsifier helps us clean our mental house. Many deep meanings people claim, certain religious symbols, numerological patterns, conspiracy connections, fail this test. They do not improve prediction. They are recognition templates that detect noise and call it signal. They are unlicensed recognitions. True meaning, whether scientific, personal, or spiritual, must earn its keep by helping someone or something predict something better. Love means predicting another's care and cooperation. Truth means predicting consistent outcomes across contexts. Justice means predicting that certain actions lead to social stability. If it doesn't help predict, it's not meaning, it's decoration. The ladder of recognition, from noise to name. Let's describe the stages, slowly, like a story. Stage 1, raw flux. The world is a storm of diffy patterns, changes, gradients, rhythms. Stage 2, coherence. Within licensed windows, the storm becomes readable. Omega and kappa can be estimated. Nu can be tracked. Stage 3, invariance. Some patterns persist. Knots, conserved tallies, stable correlations. Stage 4, compression. A system discovers that it can represent a complex pattern with a short code, an internal label. Stage 5, prediction. That code allows the system to predict what happens next better than chance. Stage 6, meaning. The code becomes meaningful because it changes decisions and survival. This ladder is not magical. It is operational. And it explains something profound. Meaning is not injected from outside. Meaning rises from the inside of predictive survival. Consciousness as self-recognition. Now we touch the deepest mystery, consciousness. How does raw recognition become felt experience? Holophase offers a rigorous yet humble proposal. Consciousness is what happens when a recognition system develops self-referential recognition templates. When the system not only recognizes face and food, but also recognizes its own recognizing. Think of a simple robot with a camera. It recognizes red balls. It has no consciousness. Now give it a second camera pointed at its own processing. It recognizes the red ball recognition process is active. It now has a meta-recognition. Layer this recursively. The system recognizes its recognitions, recognizing recognitions. At a certain level of complexity, this self-referential loop creates an interior world, a model of the world that includes the modeler. Your feeling of being you is the activity of your brain's self-recognition templates. They compress the chaotic flow of your perceptions, thoughts, and memories into a coherent narrative. I am experiencing this. The magic of consciousness is not a supernatural substance. It is the wonder of self-referential prediction. You predict your own reactions. You model your own modeling. This creates the illusion of a separate self observing the world, when in fact it is the world, in one particularly complex knot, observing itself. This is not reductionist. It is awestruck. That mere matter, arranged in certain topological patterns, can become aware of itself. This is the most magnificent recognition game in the cosmos. The ethics of recognition. Seeing and being seen. Now, this understanding transforms ethics. If objects become real when recognized, then recognition is a moral act. To recognize someone as a person is to grant them reality in your world model. To refuse recognition, to treat someone as invisible, as thing, as less than, is to negate their reality in your predictive framework. The great ethical injunction emerges. Recognize widely and deeply. This is not sentimental. It is predictive. Systems that recognize more patterns accurately predict better. Societies that recognize the humanity of all members are more stable. Individuals who recognize the complex reality of others form better relationships. Love, in this view, is advanced mutual recognition. It is two complex, self-referential systems recognizing each other's recognition processes and predicting mutual care. It is the most sophisticated prediction game. I predict that you will predict my needs and act to meet them. Evil is recognition failure or malicious recognition, seeing patterns that aren't there, paranoia, or refusing to see patterns that are, denial of humanity. Thus, ethics becomes applied recognition science. Justice is creating systems that ensure all stable DeFi patterns, people, get license recognition from the community. The meaning of life in a recognition universe. Now, the ultimate question. What is the meaning of life in such a universe? The Holophase answer? Life is the universe's way of playing the recognition games at increasingly complex levels. Bacteria recognize chemical gradients. Plants recognize light patterns. Animals recognize objects and intentions. Humans recognize abstract patterns, justice, beauty, truth. Perhaps someday we, or others, will recognize patterns we cannot yet imagine. The meaning of your life is the quality and depth of your recognitions. How many patterns do you see truly? How well do you predict? How wide is your circle of recognition? Do you recognize only what is useful to you, or also what is true? Your purpose is not written in the stars. It is enacted in your recognizing. Every time you truly see someone, understand the principle, create beauty, discover truth, you are advancing the recognition games. You are making the universe more aware of itself. This is meaning without magic, purpose without decree. It is earned, like everything in Holophase. You must build your recognitions, test them against reality, and let those that fail prediction fall away. The practice, turning meaning into a testable claim. Here is a simple practice you can do in your own mind, right now. This is the firewall applied to your personal semantics. Take any meaning you hold strongly. This person is safe. This place is dangerous. This idea is true. This action will succeed. Now ask, what pattern am I recognizing? What specific diffie signatures? What correlations? What prediction does this recognition imply? What future state does it anticipate? What counterworld would break it? What context would make this recognition fail? What is its license scope? When and where does this meaning hold? What uncertainty do I carry? How often has this recognition been wrong? This practice is not cynicism. It is the discipline of honest meaning making. It turns your life into a cleaner relationship with truth. And it is exactly how Holophase wants science to behave too. The Village Watchman, a story of recognition evolving. Let me end with a story that unites all these threads. Imagine a village at night. There is a watchman. He listens for patterns, footsteps, whispers, distant metal sounds, the bark of a dog, the crack of a twig. At first, he hears only noise. Over time, he learns. Certain patterns mean wolf. Certain patterns mean friend returning late. Certain patterns mean wind. His meanings are not metaphysical. They are predictive compressions built from repeated consequences. If he mislabels wind as wolf every night, the village loses sleep and grows weak. If he mislabels wolf as wind, the village is attacked. So his meanings become sharp because survival punishes error. Now imagine an AI watchman. It listens to far more subtle patterns than human ears. It might detect the shifting rhythm of distant foot pressure through ground vibrations. It might distinguish a wolf from a human by micro differences in gait. It will see objects the human watchman cannot. Not because the AI is magical, because it is a better recognizer. This is part 11's claim in one living image. Reality expands as recognition deepens. The universe is not getting new things, it is being read more carefully. The greatest humility. Reality is richer than human catters. Part 11 forces humility, because it reveals that the nouns of human language are not the nouns of the cosmos. They are convenient compressions for a particular kind of animal. We evolved to recognize faces, threats, food, shelter, social signals. We did not evolve to recognize topological invariants, subtle phase defects, deep multiscale correlations. So the universe is full of structure that is real but not yet meaningful to us. Meaning is not an entitlement. Meaning is earned by encoding. This changes the emotional posture of science. Science becomes the craft of building new senses, new encoders, so new patterns become meaningful. And this is why Holophase is not just physics. It is also a philosophy of scientific growth. We do not just discover facts, we build readers. The handoff to the end. The circle closes. We have come full circle. We began with phi, the potential for connection. We followed its changes, found its shadows, discovered knots that became objects, tallies that became laws. And now we see that all this structure awaits recognition to become meaningful. The universe is a symphony of patterns. Recognition is the listening. You are not a passive listener. You are part of the symphony recognizing itself. The final question: why is there something recognizable rather than nothing remains. But now we see it is perhaps the only question. The existence of recognizability may be the deepest primitive. The fact that patterns can be compared and that comparisons can be recognized may be the first and final fact. We end not with an answer, but with a realization. The universe is intelligible because intelligibility is what survives. Recognition games that produce accurate prediction persist. Systems that recognize better outcompete those that don't. We are those systems. Our science, our love, our art, our ethics, all are refined tools of recognition. We are the universe recognizing itself with increasing clarity. What you carry from part 11, the final mantra. Let the final mantra settle into the very fabric of your being. Primary. Meaning is what helps you predict. Meaning emerges when recognition of patterns enables prediction. Objects become real when their DeFi signatures are reliably recognized across license windows. Consciousness is self-referential recognition. Ethics is the commitment to wide and deep recognition. Your life's meaning is the quality of your recognitions. When you look at a loved one, see not a soul in a body, but a magnificently complex recognition system whose patterns you have learned to read with exquisite precision and whose recognition of you helps you predict safety, love, and belonging. When you study science, understand you are extending humanity's recognition templates into new domains, revealing objects and laws that were always there but unseen. When you create art, know you are forging new recognition pathways, training others to see patterns they might have missed. When you suffer, remember. Pain is often recognition of pattern disruption. Your predictions failing, your models breaking. Healing is building better recognitions. You are a universe of recognition playing within the universe. Your meaning is not given, it is recognized. And in that recognition, you participate in the cosmos's greatest game, coming to know itself. Always peace be upon you.